Good morning, everybody. So I promised if I broke something, I'd let you guys know and show you what we had to do. So we're gonna kind of run you through what happened and what we're doing about it. So when all the tool bags are on the floor at the Airbnb, that normally means something bad happened.
Hey, Wes.
All right, so what happened is yesterday, taking a drive up to the trails. And on our way, I was getting on it. Jeep hasn't been running in a while, so I kind of wanted to push a little bit. So I was getting on it really hard on the little side road heading up to the trails. And I slammed from first to second at about 6,000, 6,200 RPMs. And when I did, I heard like a pretty gnarly metal on metal sound. And got to the trailhead, looked at everything looked fine. So we ran our trail, but I was noticing like throughout the trail, I kept having intermittent issues where it would give me that same metallic sound. So we finished out the trail, get back to the Airbnb last night, and what I ended up finding is both of my transmission crossmember bolts had fallen out somehow. So, and it looks like they actually stripped the threads straight out of the transmission. So what was happening is actually my transfer case was slamming up into the bottom of the tub when I was under power. And that metal on metal sound was my drive shaft hitting the floor of the Jeep. Okay, so we ended up having a problem here where these two bolts, which are holding my transmission to my crossmember, both stripped and pulled out of the housing. So what I ended up having to do is make a through bolt. You can see my hack job here. Thankfully I have some decent tools where I could chip that out and do a through bolt using grade 8 hardware. And I'll be using some orange Loctite to try and hold these guys in so that doesn't happen again. 777 was extremely frustrating because my front locker was working intermittently, and by the end it wasn't working at all. And when we were trying to figure it out on the trail, I could see what was going on, but I couldn't like 100% fix it or 100% identify exactly what it was.
Are both spinning or just one?
But those new steering arms I put on, so the ones I got from Weaver Fabrication, were a little longer and their placement was a little different. So where I had originally ran the locker cable, it was getting pinched when I was turning really hard. So it actually smashed my locker cable to the point where it couldn't actuate anymore. And that essentially made my front locker useless. So we got back to the Airbnb and I was a little disgruntled, I guess you could say, because things weren't working as good as I would have liked, and it's our first day on the trail. So I was gonna just wait until the morning, but me being me, I just tore it all apart after we got home. And I realized we had two issues going on. The transmission was no longer connected to the transmission crossmember, which was causing some serious movement in the transfer case, which was causing issues. And then my locker cable, which was absolutely trashed. So that night I kind of developed a strategy like, okay, can I get to Home Depot and get some hardware the second they open and still try and make our hit time for Unforgiven? Which Home Depot didn't open until 6 a.m. and it was actually about 20 miles away. So I went there, I got there right at 6 a.m. and I got the parts, and it took me a little longer to put together than I thought just because I was trying to really do it the right way. And then going through and fixing that locker cable, I actually had to I cut all the sheathing off the locker cable and re-engineered the locker cable sheathing using zip ties
and Gorilla Tape. And funny enough, it actually held. I did call Ox Lockers that morning, and I asked them, like, hey, is there any way you guys are just at Trail Hero so I could just buy a locker cable from you guys? And they're like, oh, no, we're not there. I'm like, do you have any dealers in southern Utah where I could just go buy one? Nope, the only dealers we have are on the East Coast. I'm like, well, it's either fix this cable or not have fun for the rest of the week. So it was working, but it's like going into that front locker, it has to take a really sharp bend. And that sharp bend, it like just couldn't get enough torque to force it to lock. So I ended up moving the back one to the front and the front one to the back. And the back has this like nice gentle turn. So then my back one worked, my front one worked, and we were all good to go. But after that, I mean, Milled Smile was really the shakedown run. The whole reason we didn't go hit Unforgiven is I didn't feel confident doing that level of trail with brand new fixes.
This is one of the things, guys, that's an inevitability when you're trail running. So you can build the most badass rig on the planet, but ultimately you're pushing things really, really hard and things do break. You'll always find weak points. So that's exactly why I carry an extensive toolkit in the Jeep. So I had all the tools I needed to fix the problem. The only thing I was really missing was a few bolts, which I was able to run down and source locally very quick. Having the tools in your rig is important, especially when you're going a little ways away from home. If you're close, you might be able to just limp it back home, but when you're further away like this, bringing your tools with you is the best way to go.